Hey, this is your girl, Christal Jordan with Rolling Out, and I'm here with a very special cover conversation. Please help me welcome my guest today. She actually tore the screen up this past Easter weekend as Mahalia Jackson. It's my honor to welcome the very talented, very beautiful Danielle Brooks to Rolling Out.
Hello.
Hey, Danielle.
Hi, how are you today, Christal?
I am great. Can I tell you how much I enjoyed this past weekend, this film? You did your thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's so nice to hear that from another Black woman. I'm like, all right, making them proud.
You know what I liked about it? What I liked about the movie so much is that for years, we've seen these images of Mahalia, and she was always this very iconic gospel voice, very serious, very respected. But we got a chance to actually meet Mahalia, the woman, with this movie. We were able to see her weaknesses, her fears, some of her insecurities, her strength. So you really kind of humanized the icon for us. Did you feel that way?
Yes, I think that was what was most important to me, was finding what made her human. I was introduced to Mahalia maybe around 7 or 8 years old, but was generically told about her that she was just the queen of gospel music. She was close to MLK, and that was about all I knew, and a few songs. And so as time went on, and people started to tell me that I reminded them of her through my voice, I was like, okay, well, let me do some research. And I knew that the only way that I could bring her to life is once I was able to figure out what did make her a human being, and there was so much there. There was so much there, from the marriages, which was the first thing that caught my eye, being a Christian woman, and getting divorced, and what that must have been at that time, from her relationship to MLK on a more intimate level, and understanding what that really was. But then also discovering just who she was: a giver, a businesswoman, a woman had wanted to be a mother, longed to be a mom, and just her struggle as a child, and with her struggle with the business, those things. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? I see a lot of similarities here, and I know for sure that she deserves to have her story told. So, you know what? I happily, Lord, will be the vessel. So I'm very grateful that, timing wise, it worked out for me to play her.
Absolutely. Like you said, you kind of touched on, there were so many huge points throughout the film. We are celebrating women. We've been celebrating women all year, but we definitely are continuing that. This is our month called Sisters with Superpowers. And I wanted to ask you, just actually, it's ironic. I interviewed Cynthia Erivo, and I asked her for women around her that were sisters with superpowers, for her. And she mentioned yourself. So I want to first, what is your superpower that you take with you? And then I also would like you to answer that for Mahalia, from what you learned from playing her character.
I'm not trying to do this as a cop-out, but I really do think they're the same. Okay. The first instinct that comes to mind is being a giver, mm-hmm. And I'm learning to do that more and more. I feel like I'm learning that there's so much to be gained by giving, mm-hmm. of yourself, of your time, of your heart, of your spirit, to give a smile, as simple as a smile, or as simple as a thank you, or taking the time to actually get somebody something that they really wanted, and also on the artistry tip too, of giving of myself. It was very vulnerable for me to be taking on the queen of gospel music and singing all of the music myself.
Right.
And so I had to be of service and let go of all of the fears that come with that for me, mm-hmm. and say, this isn't about me. This is really to honor her. It's to mm-hmm. honor Miss Edge, my godmother who passed away, my grandparents that are all gone to glory, you know, my church family. Like, this is a moment for me to say thank you. And I feel the same way about her. She really did give. She would give you the shirt off her back. She fed the masses. Mm-hmm. She gave of herself, even by putting herself in uncomfortable situations, like singing at the Ed Sullivan Show and being on these white programs at the time where they was not even giving her a dressing room, or the fact that she had to, you know, still read that green book, trying to figure out how to get to places safely. Like, just being in places that she wasn't wanted, you know, she gave of herself in that way too. And so I think though that would be what I am grateful to have as my superhero, Shiro power.
Yeah. No, that's good. There's so much with this film, but one of the things that stood out to me is that she was a mentor. You know, it was obvious that she really believed in uplifting other women. She gave her friend her beauty salon business, just said it belongs to her. She was a mentor for her pianist. There's a really complex relationship that they have throughout the movie. I want to ask your opinion, because it seems like she was this mentor and she was also a giver, but then she also allowed some of maybe her insecurities or her stubbornness to keep her from being there for Mildred, maybe when Mildred needed her. So I love the idea of being able to show us a heroine who is imperfect, and we can still celebrate her without taking away because she did have some things she was struggling with. How do you feel about that relationship, specifically with her and Mildred? Because we see her go back and apologize, but she was obviously wrong, but she was still doing the best she could, I think, for her.
Yeah, Christal, I think that's what's crazy, is that we put these icons on these pedestals, you know, and we don't allow any room for the humanity to shine through of what made them people. You know, ain't nobody perfect, right? So that was the same with Mahalia Jackson, you know, and that's why I tried to truly take a deep dive in who she was, and to still do it in a respectful way, where we're not just saying, you know, speaking of her in a negative way, or like where you don't see where it's coming from, why she is the way she was. But the beauty of Mildred Falls that I love so much is we get to celebrate this unsung hero too, that normally would not ever, people wouldn't even know her name, you know?
Right.
And she had such a huge impact in Mahalia's career, you know, and shaping the sound of Mahalia Jackson. If it wasn't for Mildred, who was in her life for 20 plus years playing for her.
Yeah.
And Mahalia was on one key, you know, and they spoke of another key. Mildred made her look good. You know what I mean? And the support that she gave her that is unseen. And so I like that we get to explore a bit about her life and her giving up, you know, being with her family, and the fact that she stepped out of her comfort zone and traveled with her in the South and said, you know, I know that my purpose is greater, and I'm going to take this ride with you, Mahalia. So I just love the sisterhood there. And and the fun fact is that Jakina Kalikango, who plays Mildred, is my best friend.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, her son is my godson, and my daughter's her goddaughter. And we were the only two Black girls in our class of 18 at Juilliard. Wow. And so we've been sticking it out together, and we made a pact together that we would always support each other in our endeavors. And so I'm really grateful when Kenny and I approached her about playing Mildred. She, without hesitation, said yes without reading the script.
I love that is why you are one of our sisters with superpowers. How beautiful is that story? That now I got to go back and watch it again, knowing that there's a real relationship between the two of you guys. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's one of the big themes in the movie. Also, like you just mentioned, it's like, I think artists back then had to be so strong because there was this racial tension, and she was a trailblazer, but there's a scene where she says it feels like people either love me or hate me. You know, I'm doing what I think I'm supposed to be doing, but it has such huge polar responses. Can you speak a little bit to how, you know, you feel like she handled that, being, you know, knowing that she felt like she was doing what was right, but then receiving so much criticism from both sides for her work?
Yeah, I think she handled it the best way she could at the time. It's like there's no book written about how to successfully walk around in this world as an artist. There's just no book for it. And so she was trying to figure it out. You know, she was such a unique artist because she was one of the few Black people that could cross over and really be in white households where they listened to her. And, you know, she was able to sway votership, and there was just so much influence that she had even with white audiences. And so there was probably always this moment of feeling unliked, you know, by either side, that I probably don't even have. I wouldn't even know what that would be like. You know, I feel like in the books that I've read, they probably don't even talk about those things that she was dealing with on the balance of trying to do what's right and be liked at the same time. But one thing she did do was hold on to her faith, and I'm for sure that she probably called on God in those moments where she didn't know what to do.
I wondered if, reading your background and knowing that you grew up in the church, if you felt a connection. Her calling was so strong, and she was unmovable, unshakable in what she felt like she was called to do. And that, I mean, that was consistent from, you know, the opening until the close, is that she just never gave up faith. Do you think that the church, but then she also had very strong feelings about how committed others should be to that feeling as well. Growing up in the church, did you recognize, or did you connect with that feeling of just really being called, feeling like God has a calling on your life and needing to listen to that before listening to outside voices?
For sure. I know for a fact that this was a God ordained piece. Like this got God all written all over it. And with me coming on to this project, you know, I had other offers to play Mahalia Jackson with different people, and I just know that God sent me this direction for a reason, you know what I mean? And for me to work with Kenny Leon, who I just have so much respect for, and would do 500 more projects with him, because he's also on the path, you know, like he's also a spiritual man. And so I know that you can't play at faith, and you can't play at your belief in God. I truly believe that. And so it was a moment where I got to thank God over and over and over through the 23 days that we shot this film. I got to say thank you, whether that was through song or through a scene. You know, I remember Kenny, the last scene we shot was when I sang Precious Lord with Martin Luther King. And Kenny sat us down, and there was a Bible there as a prop, and he just started reading Genesis. If you know Genesis, I'm not going to preach nothing, but if you know Genesis,
do what you got to do.
Says, you know, God made the sun and it was good. He made the moon and it was good. He made all of the world, I'm paraphrasing clearly, and it was good. And that's what I felt at the end of this project, that Mahalia, that the ancestors, you know, that had a piece of making her who she was, felt like what we were doing was good and right. So
that was a powerful scene too. It was nice being able to see not just the human side of Mahalia, but also through her eyes, a very human side of Dr. Martin Luther King. That, you know, And we didn't know that their friendship extended beyond. I mean, of course you would assume that, but we just, there's not been record of that type of relationship. So how did you feel playing those roles and playing that part of the movie? And was it interesting for you to see how they were able to support each other?
Well, that's one thing. I'm grateful that I got to come on as co-executive producer, because I got a say in that. And that was one of the things that was really important to me. I was like, I remember like looking at old notes and being like, there's not enough intimacy between their relationship. We know the generic, like, let's get to truly what they were for each other. And they needed each other. And you're right. There's not like many written down stories about their connection, but there's pictures. There's like, I found so many pictures of them like right beside each other, at these events or even in more intimate spaces as friends. And so you do know how close, and even so much that after Martin's funeral, Mahalia like canceled a lot of her tour dates because she just needed a moment to recollect herself and be fueled again.
Right.
And so, that was very important to me, was finding the intimacy of their relationship.
Yeah. Well, we talk a lot on my show here on Rolling Out. We talk a lot about relationships, and we got a chance to see how she kind of navigated or dealt with her the significant others, or just she likes pretty men. I'm not mad at her. What did you learn about love from playing? Yeah,
I learned that love is a tricky thing. Because that's the thing about telling stories too. In this form of film, you only have so much time. There's so much that I learned about her relationships. Like, she ends up getting back with Ike.
I knew that, but I knew when he came back with the money, I was like, he just bought himself a ticket to you get one.
Yes, he did. But the crazy thing, Christal, is that he moved in earlier lifetime. After they broke up, he moved back. He moved 1 block from her house.
Oh, wow.
I was like, how can we tell that in the story? We gotta tell people that, like, because I actually had an ex-boyfriend do that to me once. After we broke up, he moved a block away from where I was. I was like, what is this?
Is that love, or is that a little stalkerish?
Would you say it's love or what?
A little stalkerish. It's like either on the border.
I don't know. But love is a tricky thing. But that's the other part too, is like finding out the why they broke up.
Yeah.
Challenging, because us, and it still happens. Like, in our community, we don't talk about things, or we try to ignore certain things or push it aside and be quiet about things that happen to us. And I feel like that's why it was tough for us to find the why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she had her mans.
She did. But again, that just goes to the human side of her. You know what I mean? I love that even when it wasn't her husband, I guess it was her boyfriend.
Russell, yeah, the Reverend Russell Roberts.
He was, oh my God, that was a beautiful love story, short love story in there. And then she just got married to replace that. I think that's a very real thing that a lot of us do. Just try to replace it, and it doesn't work.
Nope. I'm trying to do this thing one time. That's the one thing from Mahalia. A lesson I learned. I'm not trying to repeat.
Well, I know I want to ask you one last question. Again, I said we're celebrating sisters with superpowers, and I think this movie and even other things that you've done. Of course, a lot of people recognize you from Orange Is the New Black, but you've The Color Purple. You've had this sense of excellence in the things that you've been able to do. And then also we see you as obviously an example of sisters that are supporting other sisters in a relationship with your friend. What would be one thing that you would give to your younger self, and that you would want to give also to young women that want to come up in your shoes, looking to have the confidence and to be able to get to where you are? What is that one ingredient that you would like to add to their mix to help them get to this place?
I would say stay focused. I think I was good at discipline and wanting it and listening to the spirit and walking fearlessly. Like I feel like that naturally I had, but it's the focus.
Yeah.
Like I wish personally for me, I wish I wouldn't have dated in college. Like I just wish, not that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that some women can't handle that, but for me, I just think about some of the time that I wasted where if I would have just placed that energy into the work, how much more growth would I have found?
Yeah.
So I would just say, like, stay focused on the goal that you have for yourself.
Yeah.
And don't let anything distract you, or anyone either distract you from your purpose.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much. What's next for you? What do you look forward to doing next, Danielle?
Yes, thank you, Christal. It's been a great interview. Thank you so much. What's next for me is the music for Mahalia is out on all platforms, so you can get the soundtrack now, which I'm super excited about. And then I am in Vancouver shooting Peacemaker, the TV show for HBO Max that's starring John Cena and directed and written by James Gunn, who's done Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy. And so I'm an action woman right now. And I have a few other fun projects coming up where I'm going to be hosting a show and there's a lot of things on the horizon. So life is good. I'm grateful to still be working during this pandemic and still be connected to family and friends during all of this craziness. And I hope you're doing well.
Yes, I am. We're excited, like I said, just to be able to celebrate. My middle name is Danielle, spelled exactly like yours. So I a little bit of connection there. But thank you so much. We are rooting you on. And I love the fact that you are spreading your wings and getting a chance to do so many different types of projects. That's a beautiful thing. So keep shining, my sister. We're definitely rooting you on, and we'll definitely keep sending love your way.
Thank you so much. Sending you love.
All right.